So today I'm going to be showing you how to create an Adinkra cloth. You are going to need quite a few supplies for this. First of all, you are going to need black paint, potatoes, slices of potatoes, fork, knives, toothpicks, straws. These are all tools to help you carve your potatoes. And then a comb that's for making those lines that you saw that were between the different sections of the symbols. This is a brayer. This is used to roll your ink and to roll it onto your potato for the design. Traditionally they do not use potatoes. They use calabash, a type of kind of like squash, but it is harder to find and also harder to carve. It would require very sharp tools. So we are going to be using potatoes. They're similar, but they're a little easier to carve, a little easier to find, and don't require metal and sharp tools. And then the last thing you need is a piece of cloth, the color that you want it. So this is my cloth. I chose a red one for showing you today. So the first thing you're going to do is set your supplies to the side, and you are going to use the ink and your comb. Notice I have a comb with only 4 or 5 on the end. I decided to break off these ones because it was just too many, too wide. I didn't want it quite that wide, so I'm going to use it like this. And you are going to decide how big you want your squares to be. As we saw in the video earlier, when we are learning about Adinkra cloths, sometimes they have them just big enough for one symbol in the middle of each, or sometimes they have it so you can repeat a few symbols across. So for mine, I think I'm going to do like a row going down the middle, and then another row going down the middle, so there'll be 4 sections on my cloth with the symbols repeating inside of it. And so I'm going to take the black paint, and I'm going to get it on the comb like this, and then you're just going to gently put it down and drag it across, and you can see the paint starting to not show up anymore, so I need to dip it again and very slowly and carefully line it back up and keep dragging it, and I can kind of switch directions as long as you line it back up with those same lines. It might take multiple times going over it in order to get, oh, I've got a lot on the end there, in order to get it. One thing to be careful of is just that you do not drip when you're going back and forth from one to the other. So make sure you don't have so much paint on there that it drips. It also helps when you angle the comb a little, so it's pretty close down to the bottom here. And I'm going to keep going all the way from one end to the
other of my design, just like the ones we saw in the video. And then once I finish those, I'm going to do them in the other direction as well. So I'm going to keep dipping it in that paint, coming back. And just be careful when you're doing this that when you're making your lines that you're not putting your arm in the parts you already painted. And also that your plate isn't going in spots you already painted. If you need to move your plate out of the way, just make sure you don't set it on spots you already painted. So you can go ahead and do that with your comb and your paint. Just make sure you know how wide you want your spaces to be, and do all of your lines on your whole fabric before you start the next step. So I'm just going to keep going, and you can go ahead and get started on yours. If you want, you can leave the video going so you can see how I continue, or you can just get started on yours if you already understand how you're going to do it. Again, just make sure you're nice and careful that you're getting all of those lines in, and you're not going so fast that you're not lining things up. Alright, so there you go.